intelligence. There is far too much bullying going on. We need an ongoing program in Palm Beach County and all over the nation in teaching kids how to use their emotions constructively and creatively, not to destroy, not to confront, and not to fight each other. That's what education is now lacking, those two important principles. So we don't talk words, but we talk about how we're going to implement these good ideas.
First of all, we really could use you in Washington or in Tallahassee. Secondly, we don't have a lot of time, so for going forward now, as we go forward, if you could try to ask a question. I believe the question was, do you agree?
I do. I do.
Okay, yes.
Give me my name, Eileen Fleming Sheetak. I'm sort of here representing League of Women Voters in Hadassah. My question is, there's a lot of people, retired teachers in the audience. We, and I started a program in my local Hadassah, are volunteering in the schools to help achieve what you're talking about. Secondly, I invite all of you to come to a meeting on May 18th to hear the legislators from Tallahassee. I just came back from there, and I heard them on Thursday. And I'd like to ask you, you keep talking about technical colleges. We're standing in a technical middle school. I think we need more technical middle schools and high schools, because then they can graduate and not drop out because they have a skill. And I'd like to know why we don't emphasize that.
Yeah, that's a great point, and the president has emphasized that we need to actually strengthen and support and do everything we can to build up our science and math and technical education. So we're absolutely there with him. We support those efforts, and there are a number of initiatives in his proposals that would do that.
Thanks. Dr. Ravitch wanted to respond to something she's heard.
Yeah, let me just say that as long as President Obama insists, and Secretary Duncan insists, that teachers are going to be evaluated by student test scores, you can forget about every other reform, because it's going to be testing, testing, testing.
I want to make it clear that.
I want to also point out that when the teachers in Madison, Wisconsin were surrounding the state capitol building, pleading for their right to collectively bargain and trying to stop the assault on the teaching profession, Secretary Duncan did not go to Madison, and President Obama flew to Miami to meet with Jeb Bush at Miami Central High School. Forgive me, but I got an email yesterday from somebody who looked at the scores at Miami Central High School. That school was not turned around. They fired the principal, they fired half the staff, and their scores went up by a smidgen. And what is happening in this country is an outrage. Public schools are being closed across America and being replaced, and they're calling it a turnaround. They're turning them into charters, they're handing them over to private managers. All of this is being done by races at the top. So when someone from the U.S. Department of Education comes and calls that a game changer, it's a game changer, okay, but it ain't a game changer to help public education. It's a game changer for the educational entrepreneurs.
Michael, I'll let you respond, please.
I just want to make clear.
Hold on, Dr. Ravitch. Go ahead, Michael.
I just want to make it clear what our proposal actually is, because I want people to have information. That we have not put forward proposals that would evaluate teachers' pay or teachers being fired based on an achievement score. No, we have not. So what our proposals say is that we should look at student growth. That's not a one point in time, but look how a student is doing as a significant factor. So we are looking at growth as a significant factor along with multiple measures, classroom observation and other measures. So I just want, and that's actually to ensure comprehensive human capital system. So it's not just about merit pay. It's about decisions for professional development and advancement and retention and recruitment.
Excuse me, can I say something?
Now we're Dr. Edwards, we don't have a lot of time. I want to get to some more questions. That's okay. Hold on 1 second. There's someone in the back. Yes.
Hi, I just want to say, here at the end of FCAT testing, we have 3 9-week grading periods. I'm a high school media specialist / school librarian. Our media center has been closed for testing for almost 7 weeks this year. Now, out of 4 9-week grading periods, we are spending more time testing than we are teaching. And this amount of money that you're talking about, $330 million to prepare tests, and then the amount of money Florida spends, what is it, $80 million to prepare, grade, and evaluate all these tests. Is this not too much money to be spending on testing? Should we not be spending more time?
Yes, you mentioned it, yes.
Yeah, that is true. I'm a high school teacher too, and we do 2 diagnostic exams and 1 FCAT exam, and it takes 3 weeks to test all the students on computer for algebra, because there are now 3,000 computers in the school. My point is, you said you spent $330 million designing this test. Isn't it better to create more vocational schools so we can prepare our children for life, rather than spend $330 million and prepare our children for a test? Because let me tell you, my son graduated 4 years ago in high school, and I don't have the money to send him to college. So why do we think that we are going to prepare all these students to go to college when we, as a parent, cannot even afford it? Thank you.
Is there a parent? Is there a parent that, yes? Yes? Okay. Okay. Yes.
I just have a couple comments. I have a son who's in high school. He's in 11th grade. He's in the ESU program. And my concern is with your new rule regarding teachers and their salaries and their pay, what's going to happen to the students that are in the ESU program? Those teachers are not going to want to teach those type of students. And I think it's a big problem. The other issue I have with it is my son actually has a 3.5 GPA average and has been held back twice for no reason other than in the FCAT. I really don't think that's fair.
I'm going to take the liberty because I have a microphone. I appreciate you asking the question. The reform plan that passed in Tallahassee this year, it's not just ESC kids. It is. I mean, I've talked to a lot of you. If you're a music teacher, if you're an art teacher, you teach. If you have anything other than the subjects that are currently tested on FCATs, the state of Florida does not know how they're going to test. They only know that they want to. That's the plan that passed in Tallahassee. That's the I think the frustration some people have. Yes.
What I want to know is, you test kids all the time. Standardized testing, test. Besides what Dr. Travis said about how poverty is, like, if kids in poverty, they won't do good on the test. What about just those kids who don't take tests and don't do well on taking tests? I mean, there's so many other ways that you can test kids that aren't paper, pencil, pellet test. And also, just, if you do all this testing and it's teach to the test, what about just teach to know? Not teaching to the test, teach to know.
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, I think it's important for folks to understand that we're not advocating for the same standardized tests that Florida has in place. And we're not advocating for making decisions based on the achievement scores of those tests. We are looking at growth. We want to be able to say, you know what, if you are a 5th grade teacher and you have a kid in your class who's reading